Welcome to Dateline SAU, your source for the latest news and sports from St. Ambrose University. I'm Charles Hart.
And I'm Katie Link. Students are back in the classroom with the fall 2021 semester underway. Some COVID restrictions remain in place, though not to the extent of last year. All individuals, regardless of vaccination status, are required to wear a mask while indoors. Exceptions are made for those in their individual rooms or office spaces. The university encourages everyone to get vaccinated, however, vaccinations are not required. Students and employees have been asked to disclose their vaccination status to the university.
Welcome Week kicked off the weekend before classes began with on-campus move-in days. Students moving into campus housing were assigned staggered times throughout the move-in period to help avoid congestion. Families were also encouraged to stick around for a mass and a cookout on the Rogowski Center patio. The class of 2025 then gathered for a class photo, followed by an ice cream social and some roller skating.
The night before classes began, members of the St. Ambrose community gathered outdoors to celebrate Mass. The Mass took place on the hill behind Christ the King Chapel. The outdoor setting allowed those attending to go mask-free. The occasion also provided the new SAU chaplain an opportunity to offer a prayer for the new school year.
We pray for your continued grace and blessings on St. Ambrose University, but most especially upon our students as we begin our new year, the lessons they will learn and the growth that it will bring.
Campus ministry has resumed its normal Mass schedule with services each Sunday at 10:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. Masses will also be held on Mondays at noon, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m., and Wednesday evenings at 9:15.
The Mass was followed by a block party on the Rogowski Center patio. The event featured games and inflatables and music from the band Ten of Soul. The evening was sponsored by Residence Life and the SU Department of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
The St. Ambrose community welcomed the new students with the traditional opening convocation and the blessings of the new academic year. The newest Bs were offered advice and encouragement for the year ahead.
As you work to integrate new ideas into prior belief systems, some of your previously held commitments might change. Others might deepen. Being open to exploring will allow this to happen. It's a really fun and exciting thing to discover yourself and your place in the world.
Welcome to the Ambrose family, where you have an opportunity to be here, to really embrace one another, to learn from one another, to be excited, to win, to cheer on one another, and to occasionally lose and pat one another on the back and pick each other up when it gets tough. That's what good community does.
COVID forced the cancellation of one opening convocation tradition. Officials decided to forego the part of the ceremony where the faculty applaud the new students as they enter the event. It is hoped that the clapping in ceremony can resume in the future.
Extracurricular activities are a large part of the St. Ambrose community. Over the past decade, there has been a large evolution of clubs and organizations on campus.
We're at close to 85 clubs organizations that are active, and so the room has gotten bigger.
Jason Richter began at SAU in 2010, and since then, outside vendors and SAU clubs have started to work together.
We used to just do clubs, and then we had so many vendors wanting to come and do things, and so having them combined, it makes a lot of sense, because then the vendors get to see more students than they probably ever would if we just would do a vendor fair by itself.
Club Fest allows students the opportunity to get involved and to build a sense of community.
The hope is that students understand that engagement is important here at the university. The more that you're involved and engaged in your clubs, organizations, and your athletic teams, your residence halls, the better experience you're going to have at St. Ambrose.
New students see the impact of this annual event.
Going in, I was like, oh, this is just going to be lame. You know, I just got to do this for a new student seminar. But as I got in there, it was kind of neat to see all the different things in there. I got a drink, a little like fruit smoothie type thing. It was pretty good. So yeah, it was fun.
You can find a list of clubs and organizations on campus by going to sau.edu. If you're interested in creating a club, all you have to do is find a faculty staff advisor to get your group going. The Student Government Association is in charge of the approval and funding of the clubs and organizations on campus.
Clubs can come to us and fill out a money request, and we can fund anything from retreats to huge projects on campus, really anything. We try to stick to a couple guidelines, but that's our main involvement with clubs.
SGA commonly funds event admissions and campus retreats. SGA requires clubs to have a detailed budget for approval. Student government meets every Sunday at 8 p.m.
There's a new puppy on the St. Ambrose campus. 14-week-old Lassen joined the Service Dog Training and Education Program at SAU, better known as STEP.
He is really calm for the most part, except for normal puppy energy. But he's doing really good with sit. He's working on lay down. He is actually doing really well with his vest, which is really good because we try to desensitize them as early as possible so that they get used to wearing it.
Students serve as puppy raisers for dogs like Lassen until they are 18 months old. After that, the puppy graduates onto their professional training.
The SAA student environmental group Green Life is now growing some of the food you eat in the cafeteria. An average of 10 pounds a week of vegetables are delivered to the cafeteria from Green Life's garden at St. Vincent's. They care for and harvest the garden themselves.
Tomatoes, green peppers, zucchini, basil, lots of different classic Iowa summer garden food. And so when you're at the CAF, you have the opportunity to have local homegrown veggies right from campus here, which is really exciting.
This summer has resulted in good yields, which Green Life used in part to host a community potluck on campus, held in the recently renovated Hayes Courtyard.
RAGBRAI is a summer tradition in Iowa. It's a week-long bike ride across the state going west to east. Some of the estimated 15,000 participants in the event include a team representing SAU and many St. Ambrose alumni.
RAGBRAI is very much a family event for me and my group. I've got my grandpa, my grandma, my dad, myself, and a bunch of cousins. I love all the fun stuff along the way. Stopping and visiting with different people that we meet. I love the slip and slides on a super hot day. Any fun attraction, you'll see me there.
This was the 48th annual RAGBRAI. The 7-day ride started in Lamar's and ended in Clinton. The ride spanned more than 454 miles.
Events like RAGBRAI always seem to produce heartwarming stories, and this year's ride was no exception. Keep Riding Daniel is what the town of Clinton chanted as they welcomed RAGBRAI rider Daniel Griffin from Colorado Springs. Daniel is a 14-year-old who was diagnosed with an incurable type of brain cancer. After his mother told him about her RAGBRAI experience in 1999, Daniel wanted to come see the state and meet the people for himself. Clinton residents greeted the youngster with signs, and the Clinton Police Department surprised him with a few gifts, making sure his RAGBRAI finish would be one to remember.
A former St. Ambrose professor and administrator has died. John Collis retired from SAU after more than 30 years of service. He served as Dean of the College of Business, as the Director of the H.L. McLaughlin MBA program, and as Professor of Business Administration and Managerial Studies at both the undergraduate and graduate levels. Collis was 84 years old.
An art exhibition currently in the Catich Gallery explores the tensions surrounding race within our communities. Entitled In the Observance of Bedlam, it is the work of two artists based in Chicago, John Veal and Jordan Campbell. The two use their talents to promote neighborhood revitalization through their nonprofit organization, Alt Space Chicago. Their current exhibition uses multimedia, including paintings, photographs, recordings, and three-dimensional displays to deliver a message.
I think that 2020 was a moment for all of us as Americans to draw the line. This is not okay how we treat our fellow citizens, right? So there's a lot of Black trauma in this exhibition, and I think that that was important for us to bring to Iowa specifically, knowing that the same problems that we go through are the same problems that you guys go through.
The In Observance of Bedlam exhibit will run in the Catich Gallery through October 9th. Coming up in sports, the men's and women's soccer teams earned some big wins this past week.
And the Fighting Bee football team looks to win its second straight game as they host a night contest versus Waldorf.
We'll have these stories, highlights, and more coming up after the break.
On Dateline SAU.
Right away, once I got to Ambrose, I was involved. I was on the newspaper, I was working in the broadcasting with the Ambrose television and news production, and through all of those different experiences, I really learned a lot about myself, and I really learned all kinds of skills that I still use today, and I'm really excited and proud that I still use all those skills today, and most of that foundational knowledge came from Ambrose in those classes.
After winning their season opener, the Fighting Bee football team was looking to make it 2 wins in a row when they hosted Waldorf Saturday night at Brady Street Stadium. Things didn't look so good at first. The Bees were already down 7-0 when Waldorf quarterback Jordan Cooper scampers 31 yards for the touchdown, extending the Warriors' lead to 14. The Bees got the ball rolling in the third quarter. SAU's Tom Casey finds Blake Whitman for this 20-yard touchdown pass, and St. Ambrose is on the scoreboard. We go to the fourth quarter. Casey, this time, finds Sam Kerr in the end zone, and the Bees take a 17-14 lead with just over 10 minutes to go in the game. But the Warriors responded just 3 minutes later. Cooper lobs this 9-yard pass to Dominic Watt for the score, and the Bees drop a heartbreaker, 24-17. St. Ambrose hopes to get back on track when they play their third straight home game of the season, hosting number 6 Concordia of Michigan Saturday at 1 p.m. The men's soccer team remained unbeaten on the young season by knocking off the Mount Mercy Mustangs 2-1. St. Ambrose used 2 second-half goals to improve to a record of 3-0 and 1. The women's soccer team came up short versus 21-ranked Missouri Valley in a road contest on Labor Day. The Bees were outshot 14-6 in the game as the women dropped to a 2-2 record on the year. The women's volleyball team collected its first conference win of the year with a sweep at Trinity Christian College. The Bees are now 5-4 on the season, 1-1 in the CCAC. 3 finishes among the top 10 individuals pushed the St. Ambrose men's golf B squad into the runner-up position at the Clark Fall Invitational. Eric Spurgettis and Dylan McAleer paced the way for the Bees, who fielded 4 squads in the 12-team event. The women's golf team placed 4th at the Highland Classic, played at the Highland Springs Golf Course in Rock Island. Maitland Sanders led the way, shooting a 159 to tie for 8th place. The St. Ambrose men's bowling team is fresh off a season where they finished runner-up at the Intercollegiate Bowling National Championship Tournament. One of the team's leaders, senior varsity bowler Nathan Stubler. Stubler made the Junior Team USA in 2019 and has big aspirations for his future.
I'm looking to bowl professionally on tour for a few years, just kind of see where it goes. And, you know, if it doesn't work out, you know, eventually, obviously, I still have my accounting degree and hopefully my accounting master's degree soon to fall back on.
The Bees open the season on October 2nd at the Midwest Collegiate Classic in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. And that's it for sports this week. I'm Cameron Giampaolo.
And that's all we have for you on this edition of Dateline SAU.
We'll be back next week with the latest news and sports from St. Ambrose University.
Remember to check out the SAU TV Facebook and Instagram pages for our newscasts, late-breaking news, and more.
You can also find news stories and videos on The Hive at sauthebuzz.com.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next week.